because he was the D partner for Jake Gardiner. Obviously, plays for the Marlies, and I just think that those two as one pairing would be amazing together. And he obviously didn't think so. He obviously thought he was going to get, more NHL ice time if he's playing for if he signed with the Oilers. It doesn't bother me that he's leading the league. It doesn't surprise me.
It could be with Toronto.
Yeah, would he even be leading the league with Toronto? I don't think he would. Look at Toronto. They may not have anyone. They don't have anyone in the top 10. Toronto has no top 10 scorers right now, but they have about, I believe, 4 players in the top 50. Now, that sounds kind of low, but it's not. Kadri, right now, as it stands, is on an 11-point streak. The last 5 games, he has 11 points.
He's 14 points in 14 games. So
yeah.
He's doing okay.
I mean, as for streaks go, I think he's number 1 in the AHL. They haven't updated that on AHL.com, but
what about Jake Gardiner?
Jake Gardiner, it seems like he's the best player on the ice every single game. Every single game that this team plays, whether they're losing, whether they're winning. Actually, you know what? There's 2 players on this team that consistently come to play, whether they're injured or not. That's Jake Gardiner and Matt Fratton. Matt Fratton had a stellar game last night. They lost on Friday 6-3, I think it was. And Fratton scored 2 goals. It was his first game back in 7 months from having his knee surgery. It was the last game of the Western Final, and he scored the winning goal to get them to.
He scored an empty net goal. That's how he hurt himself.
Yeah, and that's how he hurt himself. Well, I'm gonna say he got dragged down, but anyways, he flew into the net. He scored the goal, but he flew into the net while the puck went in, and he's injured, and he's been injured ever since that game. He didn't even play in the finals, which really, when it comes to the Norfolk Admirals, when they were facing them in the playoffs, a lot of the coaching staff said, "Whew, thank God we don't have to face that kid." He was leading the league. He's leading the league in playoff scoring. He had 10 goals in 5 games or something. It was ridiculous.
I think a lot of people forget that Matt Fratton played really well with Phil Kessel at the end of the year when Lupo went down and they couldn't find anybody to play with Kessel. Matt Fratton played really well when Randy Carlyle put him there. Justin, what about Kadri and Colburn being scratched? Is that a wake-up call?
I don't think the coach intended it to be a wake-up call. I mean,
Joe Colburn's got 6 points in 13 games. Obviously, Kadri got the message. He had a 5-point game the other night.
I think Kadri is more impressionable, personally. Colburn doesn't need it. I think he's coming off wrist surgery. He needs to get into the flow of things. When he does, I think it's going to click for him. But for Kadri, he should have, again, with the whole controversy with him not being ready, his body weight was too much, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about his body weight. I want him to score goals. I want him to be scoring, period. I don't care if they're assists or goals.
Joe Colburn should be too, though.
He should, but,
I mean, he was the key piece in the Caberlet deal.
Yeah, but, in my opinion...
People compare this guy to Ryan Getzlaf. I want to see some flashes.
Getzlaf? Who's comparing him to Getzlaf? Listen, if we had some kind of half Getzlaf on the Marlies, he should be playing with the league.
I'm just saying, I think if Joe Colburn was so good, Boston wouldn't have traded him to begin with.
And you know what? And that was kind of suspicious for me when we got him. But he's 6'5", and he's a center. You don't find 6'5" centers who are actually offensively gifted that often. You just don't. Getzlaf... There's really no Getzlavs in the league except for Getzlav, There's
Eric Stahl.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, there's 2. I'm saying there's not like there's 20 players in the league that can do what Getzlav does. You know what I mean?
Joe Thornton.
So the fact that Big Joe is
Jeff Carter. Sorry, I just want to prove you wrong.
Yeah, but those are superstar players. You're not going to find a superstar player every corner.
And how many big guys come out and they think they're a superstar and they're not? And I
I think Kadri,
from what I'm seeing,
did.
From what I'm seeing in Joe Colborne, that's not the case. I don't think he's.
But he was never going to be a superstar, and he knew that. I'm sure he knew that. I think Kadri thought he was going to be a superstar. You just want to see
flashes. At least Nazem Kadri shows you flashes.
Okay, fine. Then my question is, if he's showing flashes, is that enough to get him with the big Leafs?
It better
the big
be.
Guys?
Who else do we have? Tim Connolly? Tim Connolly going to center our front line this year, or is it going to be Bozak?
I don't like Connolly. I don't.
Give me Grabowski at number 2, and give me Kadri and Colburn. Somehow fit him in the top 6, and let's see what we got.
I think personally, I mean, I know we're getting off topic from the Marlies here because the Leafs are different, but when it comes to one of the players in the Marlies making the big team, putting Kadri on the first line should be a number 1 priority. If it doesn't work out, take him off the first line then. It's really not that difficult. And I hope Randy Carlyle, when the season eventually starts, or maybe it starts next season, I don't know. But hopefully he starts saying, okay, Nazem, this is it. This is you. We're going to put you on the first line. You're going to be centering Kessel and Lupul. Do it. If you don't do it, we're going to find somebody else to do it.
But he doesn't get that chance. That's my point. The Leafs, they at least they're showing with Kadri. It's tough love. You got to do this. You're going to be a healthy scratch. You're not good enough to make the team. We're sending you down to the Marlies. I get it. But when is it going to happen? When is Nazem Kadri going to center Phil Kessel? When is he going to play on the wing with Phil Kessel? Give me something. I don't want to see Kadri on the third line. I don't want to see Kadri on the second power play unit.
Okay.
If the Leafs are all about the future, who else do they have? They have Phil Kessel and maybe Joffrey Lupul? Like, give me...
As what, though?
Give me what I want to see.
If you're asking me about centers, they have Kadri. They have Colburn. Now, you're not going to put Colburn on the first line. I think they tried that once last year.
They did have Colburn in his first game on the first line, and he got a point.
And, I was kind of positive when I saw that he actually got a point on the first line in his first game. Whoa. But Kadri, he's got hands. He's a pest.
Is Nazem Kadri...
Do you not put him with Kessel if he's a pest?
Nazem Kadri's biggest success in junior was playing with John Tavares. Put him with a superstar. Don't put him with Mike Brown. Don't put him with Nikolai Kulemin. Put him with Phil Kessel.
I love Kulemin. I do. But I understand what you're saying.
I have nothing against Kulemin. Kulemin doesn't have the skill set Kessel has. You can tell Kadri. Maybe he turns into Robbie Shrimp. Maybe he's nothing. But yeah. I want to see it.
That's not what Leafs fans want to hear.
And the argument was with Kadri, don't rush him, because they rushed Luke Schenn right away out of junior. And Luke Schenn didn't make the cut, so...
So where does their record stand now? Because if you look at, young guns, the Leafs have really never had them up until the last 3 years. So was Schenn a failure? Because
I think he's a failure in this market. I think if he goes
Do you
to
think he does any better in Philadelphia?
I think he blends in perfectly in Philadelphia.
I don't think so. I think...
There's no pressure on him.
Are you nuts? Philadelphia's going to chew him up and spit him out.
If Chris Pronger's healthy, they've got Mazzaros.
If he's healthy.
Luke Schenn will be fine.
I am not
That
convinced.
leads me to my point, though. They rushed Luke Schenn. And Ray Ferraro of TSN said that when he watched Russia playing in the Subway Series against Morgan Riley, that Morgan Riley was the best player on the ice, hands down, that the Leafs knew clearly what they were doing, taking Morgan Riley. And Ray Ferraro said that if the season started today, Morgan Riley would be a lock to make the team. Do you agree with that?
Okay. There's two things to this. One, I know. I've watched Morgan Riley many times. He normally is the best player on the ice. It's not, it's not like it's something new. That's why he was picked, in my opinion, why he was picked 5th overall by Brian Burke. But, does he make the team? I would say skill-wise, yes. Jake Gardiner made the team. Jake Gardiner's amazing. Is Morgan Riley better? He may be. He may be better than Jake Gardiner. He's younger than Jake Gardiner. He's playing like Jake Gardiner already. He's playing better than Jake Gardiner. Put him on the Marlies and see what happens. I don't think, first of all, you do not bring him up at all. You keep him where he is. Let him, he went through the Subway Series. Let him go through the season, see if his team can do anything, get him some experience. Hopefully they make the playoffs. You don't bring him up. You don't. Not because he doesn't deserve it, not because he's not good enough, not because he can't do it, but just because, again, develop them in the league that they know. He's young. He's 18. He's 18 or 19. That's still really young. I say let him go through this year, do what he's going to do. Let him go into training camp next year. And more than likely, no matter what he does in training camp, he's going to make the team. But let him do that, because that's what they did with Jake Gardiner. As a matter of fact, no, they didn't even do that.
They got lucky with Jake Gardiner. They didn't even draft Jake Gardiner. Brian Burke drafted Jake Gardiner.